Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Average Superstar TV. I am your host, Laura Lepre. This is that part where I ask everybody to please subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. We are available every Monday morning at 5 a.m. on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. There's a few more, but I never remember them, but they're on the rise, hopefully. And this week, we jump right back into the independent film world with this guest here I've known for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I always said is like a cat you shake up in a bag and you throw it out. He's kind of all over, jumping a little in and out of projects left and right. And he's been working on stuff such as The Midnight Show since I've ever known him. He is currently working on Florida Man. You might have to correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Schlock Awe Films? Is that what it's called?
Schlock Awe Films is the name of our production company. It's also the name of the YouTube channel. It's kind of like Shock and Awe, but Schlock, because we make schlocky B movies and stuff. So, you know.
All right, so Schlock Awe Films and Average Superstar TV. Go right to the YouTube channel now and please subscribe. You're supporting the both of us. Newt, so geez, dude. You know what? This is honestly a question I never got the chance to ask you. When you were younger, did you know you were going to actually be involved in the film world, or was it just something kind of like me that one thing led to another, and here you are?
No, it's what I've always wanted. But it also seemed like when you're from South Jersey, you might as well be on Neptune. It wasn't until Clerks came out that a guy made a movie in New Jersey, and I went, wait, that's legal? Like, you're not in Hollywood. You're not allowed to do that, So it was something I always wanted. I used to run around my backyard as a kid, making shot on video movies, drawing, writing comic books, stuff like that. I went to film school. It was a giant waste of time and energy, but I keep trying because I'm too stubborn at this point to back out. But we're in too deep. I keep lying.
Yeah, I think you're kind of where I'm at, where, like, if you were to turn and run the other way, it would follow you and haunt you because your soul's going to have something empty and missing that you're incomplete. I've
tried to get out a couple times. Sometimes it's tried to get me out. But every time you think you're out, it's like Godfather 3, they pull you back in. You have a story idea that you have and you want to try it, and it sucks that I've tried so many things and so few have actually worked out, but I'm an ambitious failure, I guess. So that's kind of.
Well, I had my hands in a lot of things too. Some things that are more successful than others, but I mean, I've even said some of the stuff that I thought was going to stick. There's always something you get out of it. A person or two that gets into your network that you're clinging and running forward with, even if you're just like, damn, how did that not work? Like, but
yeah, I wrote and produced a terrible movie called Swamp Zombies 2, but it sold really well, and I learned a lot how to run a production, because before that, you're doing YouTube stuff, and yeah, I've done some stuff that's gone like super viral in the past, but learning how to actually make a movie is completely different. I mean, from Dark Military how different it is. So, every failure has given me something that I can put in the utility belt for next time. It's like, you got the Superman thing behind you. You can't kill Doomsday the same way twice, No.
And Zod is not Doomsday.
No, exactly.
Cool. So you've also been managing movie theaters ever since I've known you. This is a good question because how is that in today's market, especially with, I mean, you were doing this before COVID, but I mean, is the theater world truly suffering since COVID, minus like certain films?
Spider-Man was an anomaly, I think. People were kind of cooped up, and there wasn't, like, nobody cared about Shang-Chi. Nobody cared about the Eternals. Spider-Man is something that, like, my mom would go see a Spider-Man movie. So that kind of changed the game and gave life to the industry again. But then Disney went and put stuff like Turning Red direct to streaming when I could have used that at my theater because we didn't have any kids movies. I had to hang on to Sing 2 since November, So it is much harder when there's not as much content coming out. And when they do that split streaming theatrical window thing, it doesn't help us because as somebody who's run movie theaters for 23 years, you used to come to all my late night screenings at the other theater. Like, I only like watching movies with a select group of people because I genuinely, people are just awful.
Yeah, I totally get you. And first off, thank you for those amazing gatherings. Those,
yeah, of course.
And it's especially those were those were always in the middle of the week, particularly like a Wednesday. And I'm up every day. I'm up every day at 6 a.m. So like that's how much I liked coming to your theater with that group. And particularly also I also knew when there would only be 15 to 20 of us, that I didn't have to worry about someone's cell phone and kids acting up. Like we kind of knew, respect everybody and you could actually enjoy the movie, which I think regardless of how things have been, I hate saying it being a film guy, I don't enjoy going to the movie theater anymore because of how people act.
Yeah, because the theater I operate now is more family friendly and senior friendly. We don't get a lot of films that I particularly would like to see. So I have to go to other theaters and I try to pick like either super early in the day or super late at night for some of these movies to avoid other people. Cause I've just had some awful experiences at movie theaters since things opened back up again. And it makes you not care. And as somebody who does movie reviews on the side, like I want to talk about certain things, but I also don't want to go see them with people. So I kind of miss some things and go, well, whatever. Like I'll let that one slide and I'll wait for it to come on streaming. And that sucks because cinema is in my fucking veins. It's something I've wanted to be involved with and watch and talk about. So when you don't want to go to a movie theater, it sucks.
Yeah. And for someone who really is trying to avoid a crowd at a movie theater, you would probably say the supper hour, like the 4:30 screening is kind of like the time. At least I've noticed that if there's the last thing I paid to see was Scream 5. Unfortunately, it let me down. I thought I gave them rope and they hung with, but I went at 4:30 on a Wednesday and I was the only one in the theater.
Yeah. I went to go see X 2 Saturdays ago and I was the only one in the theater. And I was like, great, because I really wanted to see that movie. And I didn't have to deal with people like, what is this? I don't understand. Like, I'll never forget when I went to go see Hereditary, I saw it with a crowd that would like more of like an Insidious type crowd. And they didn't know what it was. So they just kept like talking and like, I don't understand what's going on. And I'm like, can you shut up so I can watch the movie?
Yeah. Well, would you honestly say in a small way the studios are kind of have that we're still going to support the theaters by giving them movies, but not so much because they're almost feel the death rattle. So now it's streaming site, streaming site. Because HBO, that's Warner Brothers. So last year they put all their films on that. Disney, they rather get that ticket sale, whatever it is, $15 a month for you to stay home.
And Disney, are they still doing like that $30? Like wasn't it Mulan? They charge you like $30 extra to see it or something. And I was like, oh my God.
It's terrible because I'm a guy. I literally watch Yellowstone and still The Walking Dead, and I'm so bad for a guy who's in film. I'm pretty bad and has a podcast, so I don't know all the little I got rid of
when I left my last job. I was on another review show, and when I didn't need to review all that content, I wound up dropping like half the streaming sites that I had because I didn't need them anymore. I use Amazon Prime. I like their video platform. Yep. I like Tubi a lot. Tubi's just full of great garbage. My movie is on there. You can watch Swamp Zombies 2 on there.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah. So it's just like I like to watch, like, I'll just be like, what's on here? I was like, oh, you know what? Mortuary. That's a weird, terrible movie. I'll watch that, like something like that.
The streaming is an advantage is even with people that you know, even if you like them or don't like them, it's like there's a movie like, well, I know them. I might not like this, but you kind of you still find a way to check their movie out at least, you know?
Yeah, and the thing with theaters is I feel like it's almost the same as when VHS came in and when like tapes came in for the music industry. The film industry saw this coming, but I don't feel like the theater industry was on top of it. And it's that kind of the Wayne Gretzky thing. Don't go to where the puck is, go to where the puck is going. And I feel like a lot of these industries that are still stuck in their old ways, you know, they never anticipate how quickly people would like to just watch a movie in their underwear at their house, you know? So, you know, like Snyder Cut, I got to watch that sitting on my sofa with my cat, and it was 4 hours long, and I got to stop it and get up and go to the bathroom. And, and you know,
yeah. That was the highlight film of last year for me. Was
100%. It was my favorite movie of last year. But it's just one of those things where it's like they're going to continue to keep theaters alive. I feel like people will go to see a big movie, a Marvel movie in a theater more than they'll watch, like, you know, Black Widow going direct to streaming was a smart idea because if I'm going to watch that movie, I'm going to watch it at home, you know. But I feel like there'll always be a place for theaters for certain art house films and certain tentpole films, but they're going the way of the video store, you know.
But there's also could be lawsuits on that, like what happened with Scarlett Johansson, but you said with Black Widow, like, oh, you're taking money out of my pocket by shoving it on your streaming, and that's I think she's completely right.
And it's going to change the entire industry, though, when it comes to contracts, because now, like, even look at the Snyder Cut, there was a lot of people who you know, are now getting residuals because their version of that movie came out. Like a lot of the stunt actors who played like the gods weren't getting paid because they weren't in the other movie, and now they are. So it's going to change the industry when it comes to residuals and all that. And I'm sure SAG will get involved. And I don't deal with any of that.
You and I aren't. We don't like answering to people. So.
No, I don't at all. That's why I do what I do.
Yep. So, and tell us about your YouTube page where you're now reviewing.
Yeah, so my former production partner and I started it in 2019 before we went to the AFM for the first time, and it kind of sat dormant for a while. It's just a place where I uploaded like trailers and stuff. She's gone on to do other things. We don't work together anymore, so I decided to pick it up and just start using it for to do what I was doing before, which is just talk about movies and talk about whatever I'm interested in any particular time, not following the Google Analytics and the trends and all that stuff to try to, you know, let's pump up the analytics and let's talk about this movie. I just go, well, I want to talk about sorority babes in a slime ball bolorama. I'll talk about that. One of my first videos I did was I talked about, for like a half hour, I talked about Face of Death. Because I was like, you know what, I was thinking about in 5th grade the first time I saw that. Let me tell that story. And a lot of people from all over the globe said, oh my God, dude, that's how I saw the movie too. So it's just this weird thing. And I like where I can just kind of tie a movie review into something that happened to me at some point in my life or whatever. And I don't have to worry about trying to make ad money. Yeah, I've made money, which is fucking crazy. Like I've got 5,000 subscribers since November, which I didn't expect at all because I'm just filming it on my phone. Like, you know, I have studio space and all that kind of stuff, but I was like, yeah, but at any particular time I want to talk about something, I'll just do it. It's kind of like Prince. Prince had his entire house wired for sound in the event that if he was sit on the toilet and he wanted to record something, he could just do it.
And get back to it later. That was the whole point, that he could just record the riff and get back to it.
And I'm the same height as Prince, so that works out.
I've been to Paisley Park, but
cool. Yeah, so I'm just doing that now, just talking about movie theater stories, talking about movies, talking about comic books, and it's a good way to interact with people who miss me from the other show and or are looking out for me after kind of the mental health issues I had over the fall and stuff like that. So it's been good. It's, you know, I'm never going to get to like huge numbers or anything like that, but it's cool to just have an outlet and re-spark your passion. Because when you're doing a corporate thing and you're talking about stuff you don't care about,
yeah,
it gets really hard to talk like, oh, now we're going to talk about Eraser, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Oh no, we did one of those type of movies, and I just don't care. Like, or Fear Street, I don't care, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will talk about like, oh, let's talk about Blackula. I'd love to talk about Blackula for an hour, you know.
yeah. And like you were just saying there, you know, you're going through your stuff, and you know, I think it's important that people check up on people, you know. I've been hitting you up on IM just random and stuff because
and I appreciate that so much, because so many people who were in my life before bailed on me when things got hard. You know, people have been in my life for 20 something years, and once you're no longer working for a company that can help move the needle for them, they don't need you anymore, so they don't talk to you anymore. So I lost a lot of people, but I also gained a lot of people who just checked up on me and wanted to make sure I was okay. And that's what I've always done for people too. Like, you never know what people are going through. So, you know, I'm doing much better than I was. It just, you know, you go from, you know, Bell's palsy from stress was kind of where I knew that I needed to take a step back, and I didn't, but so half my face was paralyzed for a couple months.
I believe, though, you had that, and 2 weeks later, I asked you to be the judge at New Jersey HorrorCon. Do I remember the timeline right?
Yep. That was funny, though, because and I want to do that again. That was obviously with people I don't work with anymore, but we just showed up and started drinking, and then you called, and you're like, can you come do this? And we're like, yeah, screw it. And we just took over the show.
Yep. That was funny because the guy Tony, who was like, you know, I don't know who the actual presenter was. That was locked for months, but they hit up Tony. It was like, I can't do it. So one thing led to another. He's like, Laura, what can I do? He's like, you think Newt's on? I'm like, I bet I could get Newt. Give me 1 second.
I was down at the bar having a drink, and I was like, hey, we're going to go host the awards show. I have the award that on my on top of my stove, because nobody came to get it, so I took it.
Yeah, you stole the awards. And funny, it's because I wanted one of those things so freaking bad, but I really want my name on it. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. But you just took it. That's great.
I just walked out with it.
And you know, I could give you a big pat in the back for that at the same time, because you know, because you had about at least 7 or 8 films in my festivals between. When I ran Freedom Shorts of Liberty Massacre, I cannot tell you, I would get those awards made and get them like customized and all that. And I'd contact these people from around the world, which I'm going to have to pay their freaking, foreign shipping and everything. Yep. And be like, oh, we won. That's great. Cool. And I'm like, well, just get me an address. I'll get it right out to you. And half of them in 2 seconds, boom. And then, you know, I could get them right. The other half, as soon as I said the address, we never talk again.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the weirdest thing. I'm like, do they think I'm going to show up at their door from another country?
If I ever win anything, I don't care where it is. I'm going. I'm a whore, man. I love.
Yeah. So what I would do is at time I would hold the award for 1 year, and after 1 year, you know, I'd throw it my fire pit, and I'd be like, damn it, that's profit. That's like I could have had that for a profit or something, you know, or gave it to somebody. Oh my God, is that a cat?
Yep. What are you doing?
That is awesome. What's the cat's name?
Her name is Elvira.
So, Elvira, congratulations. You are the 4th animal to jump in on these podcasts that I've done. That's crazy.
Elvira, if you could get your bumhole out of my face, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, that's
she knows when I'm recording. And she jumps up into everything now, because like people comment in my videos when she jumps in, they're like, oh, more cat. And I'm just like, I'm really getting sick of being replaced by women in my life on these review shows.
And she shoves her butthole right in your face. That's letting you know.
Like the other ones. Some guys pay extra for that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you've gone through a big change, but you seem to be back on your feet and everything, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, one of the biggest things was kind of, that you can't change what people think of you, and you can't change what people are going to say about you on the internet, despite them not knowing the truth and you not contractually being allowed to talk about the truth. But I just got to a point where I was like, look, there's still things I want to do. There's still stories that I want to tell. People aren't going to be around anymore. You're not going to have the kind of resources. So where can you play within the margins? Like, you and I know what it's like to try to make shit with no money and no time, basically. So I kind of figured out ways of things that I could do to kind of get myself back up and running. And that was, there were some other producers who needed rewrites on scripts that just weren't very good. So I did some rewrite work to kind of subsidize some money for some guys in Kansas City and some guys in Alabama. Two of the movies have like Dave Sheridan in them, and Felicia Rose and Nadia White. And then the other one that's going to start shooting in April that I wrote for these guys has Patty Mullen, the Frankenhooker, in it, and this Greasy Strangler. So like those, and then the comic book came about, and that was kind of something I've wanted to do for a really long time. And when I pitched the Florida Man idea, originally I was telling people about it, and I took it out to LA, and I thought, like, this is a slam dunk, and everybody out there was like, we have no idea what the Florida Man is. Nobody's going to care what the Florida Man is. And I'm like, wait, how can, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, everybody knows what this is. So I thought it was dead in the water. And it was honestly like, I have a very low perception of myself and my writing, but I think that it's the best thing that I've ever written in my entire life. And when you explain the plot to people, they're just like, oh my God, like, that's a slam dunk. So I got to the point where I was like, well, what can I do as a calling card? So I worked with a guy and we remade it as a comic book. And it's going to be a 12-issue arc. The first issue is done. It's printed. It's going to premiere at the NJ HorrorCon. And then in May, we're going to kick off a Kickstarter for the rest of them. But I'm like, it's crazy to see something that you wrote drawn and come alive, because it's like, yeah, when you think about how you make a movie, with storyboards and stuff like that, when you were doing Dark Military, what everything's going to look like. So It's crazy now to see this thing that had just been floating in my head that I wrote now is there. And because you're not worried about the budget of a film, I went back and I made some things a little bit crazier and a little bit broader now. It's one of the most exciting things in the world for me right now is to just have it out there. And even if the Kickstarter fails, I'll at least have something that I wrote is out there, because I wrote, I have to send this guy back. People have been sending me things to autograph. And I did this comic years ago, The Velvet Rope, for Arcana Studios. I wrote the wraparound, but my name's not in it. This will be the first one where it's like my name is there and I'm the producer of it and all that kind of stuff. So that's a major bucket list, and it's been giving me a whole lot of like self-confidence that I lost last summer as things were kind of going so poorly. And we've got features going as well, and when it comes to Florida Man, he's white trash Hellboy. You could tell those stories forever,
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have all that at this coming NJ HorrorCon, which is April 9th weekend, not this weekend, next weekend.
8th, 9th, and 10th. Yep, we'll be there. We have a Schlock Awe table. We have 2 big tables, actually. We're going to be debuting the first issue of the comic and a couple other side projects that we've been secretly working on. And me, I overshare everything, but I've been keeping some stuff kind of under wraps because I want to sucker punch some people. Because, like I said, back in the fall, some people who I loved and have been with me a long time were like, you're never going to accomplish anything. You're 40. It's time to give up. And people are going to have a rude awakening, especially this summer, so I'm very excited about that. But I don't, you don't want to tip your hand. I want to Will Smith some people.
There's no problem with that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
You had your world like that. You certainly know from time to time you'd hear a story about me or two, but like in reality with my stuff, it was always, am I aligned with the right people? Are these projects going anywhere? And when people get offended, when I'm like, I don't think this has legs, I don't think you know how to market this.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know how to handle being critiqued like that. That's not me trying to hurt you. It's me just, no, let's talk about how we're going to play this game here.
Yeah. When you're in the middle of something, you're so consumed by a project that you can't really see the forest from the trees. Yeah. That's why I always try to write really fast, because I'm like, well, if I work really fast on it, then I won't take time to stop and think that it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, you and I have two different writing styles, but at the same time, I call myself an actor, director, producer. I like to say I'm an actor first, even though no one ever calls me to act anymore. But I can write a script. It's just I will never label myself that, because I that's one thing I think people really need to go to school on and know all the right. I'm not good with pronunciations. I'd never claim.
Yeah,
to be
no,
smart.
my grammar's.
I've never claimed to be smart either. So,
but it's always I always write to the people who I'm making it for too, like. You know that certain people grammar and shit don't count anyway, so you just pump out. It's like, how many boobs are going to be in this? How much gore is going to be in this?
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
Good, turn it around. I just had to write a giallo style script for a guy, and I you know how little downtime I actually have, because us trying to put this together. I'm constantly at the movie theater. I had to nail out 90 something pages in 4 days of this like glory hole slasher thing, and I'm like trying to figure out how far is too far to go with this, because I could come up with some really fucked up stuff, but he wanted it to be more like 8mm. So I'm trying to like walk a fine line, because everything I do tends to be big and cartoony, and some people don't like that, and so it's But when I get inspired, which isn't as often as it used to be, I can nail out a script really, really fast, because I just get fucking possessed by it. Florida Man was 175 pages. It poured out of me in less than a month, because as soon as I had the idea, I knew where it was going ahead of time. And a lot of times, especially now, I don't have that. I just come up with a title and a poster and then just go, we'll figure out the rest later.
But when you're talking about when you're doing your ridiculous plots and stuff and going over the top, that's who you are. That's who your target audience is.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you ever have to worry about like dialing it back and all that. Like, I know my target audience is the horror movie community. You know me, I'm at every convention. I'm always, wheeling and dealing and stuff and doing that.
Well,
but
what, about my last project, Sharkula, that didn't happen because the people who wanted to produce it wanted to make it PG-13. They wanted a Marvel movie. And I'm like, no, this script I have is like, it's Octoman, it's a creature feature movie. And in the time it took for me to not be there anymore, the Polonias picked it up and they took the title and they made their own version of it. So, that's kind of why I'm playing things a little bit closer to the chest too, because far too often I put a title out there, something I'm excited to work on, and then when it doesn't happen, somebody else just grabs it and moves on with it, and it gets really frustrating and infuriating sometimes, because I do want to have something to show. So it's not like you are saying about people, I don't think this has legs, I don't think this is ever going to actually see the light of day. I'm tired of hearing that from people. I very much want to be able to have, like, it's like a math problem, show your work.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's you have to look at it like that too. And I'm one of them. I just I don't like. You don't want to work with someone and you're like, I need to say this and I don't want to hurt their feeling. That's where I think sometimes I've been known as the bad guy. Like, he is going to say, but it's like, it's not like I shout this stuff at them.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, over here, your movie goes off the rails. I think we could try to dial it back a little bit, or, maybe be a different transition. But some people look at literally 8 out of 10 times I'd ever be like some sort of critical, that friend stops talking to me. That friend starts talking to people you don't like, and then it turns into
trust me.
Yeah, and I one thing about it is, anybody knows, I'm a big punk rocker. I was a guy that grew up in his bedroom by himself with no friends.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, people in film, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm very bulletproof on that. I also look at, even, you've heard me say this to you over the last couple months, even that your bad bad part of your life here that kind of got you down, I still look at that as that's publicity. That's just how my mind works. You might it may not have been saying things you want to, nice things, but the worst thing that could have happened was they weren't talking about you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they still talk about me.
Yeah. Well,
the good thing
what
is
you
over the
have
last
coming up here, especially if any of those people happen to pass your table, the weekend of the 9th in Atlantic City, you give them something to talk about again. Crank that song.
Yep. No, I mean, I have little doubt that some of those people will be coming. And you know what? We got a nice big banner with our logo on it and a table and a beautiful comic book with beautiful art by professional comic book artists and teases of projects that are coming up that already have money in them. So, okay, come say what you want. Our paths have branched off in different ways, but here's the thing from those people. I own the stuff that I'm doing. At any moment, the company that owns those other people's stuff could just go, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you're where I was in October. You're left looking at what are you allowed to talk about? Who's still going to be there for you? And I think the last few months have been really good at weeding out, the people when we are start moving, because like Snoop Dogg said, everybody got their cut, but they ain't chipped in, and that's kind of how I look at the Philly film world anymore, and YouTube people as well. In general of like, I'm going to keep going forward and I'm going to make my stuff. And if you don't like it, go ahead, keep talking about it, because hate watch my show. A lot of people hate watch my show. That's great. It's just me talking. It's not costing me a fucking dime. I sit at my kitchen table. Or I sit in the
They're
theater.
helping you.
Yeah,
they're actually,
exactly.
Every comment they drop below is telling YouTube something's up with this video. Watch it and spring it forward. So I say that right here. If you got something to say, go for it. You're not going to hurt my feelings in your free marketing. That's what I call that.
My The Batman review got 25,000 views because it got shared in these groups of hate and stuff like that. Okay, say whatever you want. I'm not going to read your stupid comments, but guess what? I got that ad money for it. So
thank you.
That's
fine. They're getting people like us paid, and anybody that they hate on YouTube, you're getting them paid.
Hate watch my movies, hate buy my comic book. I don't fucking care, because you'll eventually get to the point, is what I'm trying to do, where right now I'm still in that phase where what people are saying about me or not saying to me kind of gets to me a little bit still, but you will eventually get to a point where you're on your own path, and it's like they're not even like, it's not even the buzzing of flies anymore. It's just, I'm sorry that you don't have that. This is where you are, and I very much want to get to that point where it doesn't matter anymore. And also it'll be like, wow, had you just played the game, you'd be here with us right now,
Yeah. That's for you. What you just said though, that's you having to change your mindset to what you just said. That's how you get over them hurting you. If that's what's going on, so
really, really shitty stuff was said at times when I was at my lowest, but you know what, you move on, and thankfully I do have good people around me. And like I said, you checked in on me and I appreciate that so much. And other people who I don't like, while everything was going down, I was getting phone calls from like Straw Whitman, who wrote like Fight for Your Life and helped produce Hatchet, and Fred Olin Ray and Jim Wynorski, like people I grew up admiring and like inspired me to want to make movies, are checking in on me. And that meant a lot to me. And that meant, okay, the stuff I do is kind of dumb and people are going to talk about it, but I've at least made some impression on enough people that they at least want to make sure that I'm all right, So that was cool, and that was eye-opening too.
Yeah. I don't know. I never show but I don't really show emotions with this when something's bothering me in general. Yeah. And that's not me trying to pull off like, hey, I'm a tougher person than anybody I encounter. It's just, it's almost like I care about my friends so much. I don't want to burden them if something's bothering me. So once in a blue moon, when someone just hits me up, like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you okay? I could be on the best roll. I could be at a billion concerts. Like, even, I'm done with you. I'm heading to see a LCD sound system. Like, the world could be going great, but even the fact they stopped by a second to say that's a lot. So when I see someone's a little rattled, like, that's another reason that dude, I randomly just hit you up at any time. Like, just what's up? What's going on?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of those, and I'm just so appreciative of that. And I've always tried to do the same for other people too, because again, like, you don't know what people are going through at any times, and you don't ever want to. I don't ever want anybody to be in the place where I was. So I've gone out of my way to do that, and to also talk about mental illness with people as well, because I suffered from some serious stuff that I was too scared to confront because of how I was raised and all that kind of stuff. And when you work in a corporate environment like I was, if you show any weakness whatsoever, you're kind of looked down upon. So I kept a lot of stuff in till it broke me. And I see other people who have issues, or other people even said, hey man, I got into therapy because you talking about therapy. And that's a weird feeling for me, but it's also a good feeling, because I was like, good, other people don't have to go through the crap that I went through. So I'm happy about that. Maybe, I keep thinking in a year from now, everything will have happened for a reason, because I don't believe in fate, or I'm not a religious person or anything like that. But
you make your own world. You make your own path, if you're religious or spiritual or not.
And the whole thing is, what I could have done was I could have just laid down. Like when I talked to you at the PA Horror Con, the first time I saw you was on my birthday, and I said, hey, this is what happened. You were like, what the fuck? And then I got to a point where people who I used to work with and other people in my life who said some really shitty things, it just put fucking jet fuel in my veins, man. And it made me go, well, I can lay down and I could let them just say what they want and show my belly, or I can rally around the people who still will work with me and go, all right, let's go fucking put on a show, because now I'm as committed as I was before. It's a whole new level right now. What do all those people always, next level, right? Isn't that what they used to say?
Oh yeah, that tall drink of water. Yeah. 10 years hasn't said a word in a single movie.
Good stuff, and I appreciate people so much, and I'm excited to be working on things again, and to have people to work with, because it's all I want to do is fucking tell stories, man. I want to talk about weird shit that's happened to me. I want to make B movies. I want to spend my time with like my friends. Like Fallon will come out and shoot with us. Fallon Vendetta will come out and shoot with us.
Great human.
No, she's amazing.
And
she's been there for me a lot over the years, and and just people like that who just will come out and will do my dumb stuff, and it's good time.
You just had her in a coffin, or you were in the coffin and she was standing.
Justin Daniels, who's our Florida man, was in the coffin, and she was the nurse in the one, and then she got another scene I didn't put anything up yet for, because it's a little bit more scantily clad, but she's gonna be there with us at the convention as well, at the table.
Awesome.
I don't know. We're gonna have a good showing, and I know that there's a lot of people in the Philly, Jersey, New York area who are going to be coming down, and it'll be really good to spend time with people again, because I haven't been. 2019 was the last time that I was down there set up at a table, and that was when I was kidnapped by Richard Grieco that weekend.
that was the best NJ HorrorCon ever, because and then we were doing karaoke. I was doing karaoke with Richard Grieco.
And then he
I think Richard Grieco should be the MC of every convention. I don't care if it's horror or not.
He thought I was a guy he made a movie with in Buffalo, so he wouldn't let me leave his side. And I had to keep going with him places. And I'm like, dude, I don't know you. I've never met you before.
Well, he knows how to party. I know he cleaned himself up since that incident a couple months later. So, Richard's a good guy. He'd be someone I'd be glad to work with someday as well.
100%. We've talked about that in the past. Like, I made a list of like people who are gettable who I'd like to work with. And the producer I'm working with is like, no, we could get those people, So we'll see.
Yeah. And you have to always look at using anything when you're any sort of entertainer, from being a YouTuber, a comic book person, a person in music or film. You have to always go in. This was my thought process: is you're putting out content.
Yeah.
You're saying, look at me. Hopefully you like my work. You have to be. Everybody who's listening to this, you have to be ready for a backlash, because there are people like this. And it's, I always say, your worst enemies are always going to be people that were once close to you. They're the ones that want you to fall. Yeah, they're the ones that want you to fall the most. And I would say also 9.5 out of 10. The people that aren't going to like you, they're like a nobody who just likes to troll the internet, and I literally can't. Sometimes someone hit me up like, this person said this. What? They live in Indianapolis. I'm at work. Like click. Like, you think I'm gonna stop and like go look at that? Like, I know.
It's the whole thing of last 2 weeks ago. One of my employees who's 18 told me that she didn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger was. She had never heard of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I thought about it for a while, and I was like, well, to be fair, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't know who she is either. So it's
yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's good, dude. I'm glad you're definitely coming out. You know, I've said in a few previous podcasts, but like my workload's unbelievably ridiculous this year, and I've been very. There's a part of me. It's like, well, what were you gonna do? The world was shut down, but I'm extremely disappointed at myself. For 2 years, I didn't really do anything besides make that COVID 2024 movie for like 6 weeks to keep myself occupied. But, you know, I've adjusted. Basically means I don't have giant cast anymore because exactly. And it's less risk. Mm-hmm. So, you know, June, look at my Memorial Day weekend is going to be like the first thing I kind of actually announced, like, this is the shit I've been working on. Yeah. And 1 to 2 more by the end of the year. Definitely one more because it's a full Average Superstar film project. That I can promise. Awesome. The second one's teaming up with someone, so where I don't control the finances. So that's why I'm not going to say anything right now because you know, I'm like, oh, what happened to that project? And then that's not to knock nobody. That's just I don't like ever speaking, and it doesn't happen. That's just how my style is.
Yeah, and again, that's what happened to me is we had something moving along. I had money in the bank, and then after everything started moving, it became we need to take out all the cursing, all the nudity, and all the gore. And I'm like, well, then why are we even doing this then? Let's do.
What are you selling the movie to then?
Exactly. Let's do something completely different. Like nobody's going to go see a movie with that title if they're not going to get the exploitation elements. So luckily, I'm working with people now who are like, oh no, I'll show my titties, whatever, you know.
Cool. I need to be on your set.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where like during COVID, I wrote a lot for other people, and I finished a feature, and then obviously because I no longer work with those people, I cut all their footage out of a project, so I have to redo big chunks of it, and that sucks because that's a stumbling block project. Midnight Show, getting that done. It was done. It was in the can. I was showing it to people. And then I had to cut out big chunks because of people who didn't want to be associated with me anymore. But, you know, we're going to finish that up at the end of April, and that'll finally be done. I'm working with Donald Farmer. I shot a scene for Shark Exorcist 2. I'm writing and directing a scene for him for Debbie Does Demons, which is another Wild Eye movie. I came up with this really funny porn star paranormal research team called Boobs, and
where Nadia White comes in.
No, she was in Cult of Blood. I did that one. I wrote that one for her. I'm just using some local friends of mine who are like, you know, who do camming and stuff like that, and they're just like whatever. And you're not looking for like, I don't need Meryl Streep acting for this. It's a Donald Farmer movie, you know.
I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. So for everyone. You know, we keep rolling over. You just went through that nuclear change over the last, you know. Do you see things different as far as the people you worked with? Maybe here's where the resistance came from. Like it's completely you now. Do you feel kind of in a way totally free of like?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, I don't have to worry about the Google Analytics and the trends or anything like that. But you also don't. When you realize that you're not in control of the situation. To keep things moving, you have to become a yes man and you have to change. And that's good. Like, if it wasn't for other people, George Lucas's original Star Wars wouldn't have been Star Wars. You know, I love working with other people, but as soon as your message and your vision is lost in it, it's not yours anymore. And now I'm with finding that like people are like, oh, this is great. But what if we tried this? And then I go, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And it makes things better. Or if I set up a shot and another director who I'm working with is like, oh, if we did it this way, this would, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, please let, because I'm not a technical acumen person. I'm kind of an idea man, but I respect the shit out of people who are way more talented than me. So anytime they bring something to the table, as long as there's still a tiny nugget of my idea in there, my fingerprints are still on it, I'm fine with all of it. But like, it is good to know that people are just like, we're not trying to sanitize things. Talk about what you want to talk about, write what you want to write, and then we'll figure it out after that,
Yeah. I kind of just really put everything that I am on my back, and I'm going in certain directions I never thought I would go in, talking to people I never really thought of. But I'm trying to basically say, we're half dead. That like we're running, and there's a lot of time, but there's not. And I'm trying to pull that, like, don't be influenced by anyone. You're going to make all your own decisions. You're going to make it by yourself or fail by yourself. But that's the direction I have gone in. If I knew the last 2 years were going to be this crappy, I would have started this way ahead. But I kept saying, it'll be over in a month or two. I ain't going to have time for this. All right, a couple more months. Before you know it, you're like, oh, I could have done 2 years of shows by now.
Exactly. And I kind of wish that I would have continued doing my own stuff even while I was doing the other thing, because then I would have built it up a little bit more. Because you and I are the same, and like we could just talk about anything and just hold a conversation and go off on flights of fancy. But I wish that I had that in my head before, that I'm like, oh, some people actually do like to listen to me talk. So why wasn't I just doing it? Why was I kind of placating other people's egos to be involved with something else that wasn't mine? I could have just been doing Newt shit, and I'm much happier doing my own stuff. Even if something only gets like 4,000 views, that's 4,000 people who are watching.
4,000 people that heard your story. Yep.
And people send me like, I've been getting like fucking fan mail. It's weird. Like I'm not, it's a strange thing, because I'm just another loudmouth on the internet. There's 100 million of us who have 100 billion views and subscribers. All you can be is yourself. As soon as you try to be a character, that's not you, so I would much rather be myself. I would rather fail on my own terms, basically, making up for other people's laziness and, the corporate ladder stuff is what killed me before. Now it's just like, well, don't do that again. Just be yourself. And if this is all you get is your 5,000 subscribers, but that people will watch your thing, just play to those people. You don't need to be Kevin Feige. No. I'm not playing to everybody. I'll play to the people who give a shit. I'd much rather do that.
I look at it, everything. I back up everything you said, and I also just look at, are you happy what you're doing? Like I literally feel like reborn since the beginning of the year, since I came out, and like I just see my plates get bigger. And this is good. A lot of good stuff coming up, and
exactly.
I'll always be the secretive guy where I don't like to reveal anything till like, boom, there's the trailer. Look, that's what I've been working on. It's done now. But I also like being the solo owner of Average Superstar Films, because one of the things I learned early when I got in this business is if 3 or 4 people own a film company and there's a split, you're never going to see that movie. And I always said,
I had, Schlock Awe was with another person, and there was a lot of back and forth, but that's all resolved now, and I leave the door. I
own it all. So I like it's gonna float or sink through me.
Yep.
Everything I've done, all the Philly Film Function events, all the Freedom Shorts Liberty Massacre, the show I was doing in Princeton. Like I was like, I will cast out as much bait as I could until something, I get that bite.
That's what everybody still makes fun of me about, is like, you just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I'm like, that's what you have to do.
What are they throwing? What, they got one master script that 2 of their friends think is the greatest thing in the world? Yeah. Like, if that's the truth, good for you, but how are you getting that script out there?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't begrudge somebody who says, oh, I'm going to do multiple things.
Yeah.
Who are they to say that?
I make posters, I make trailers, I do whatever I can do, because you never know what the thing is that's going to connect with people. So I just try everything, any dumb idea I have, and then it's just about talking people into coming to be with it. And I'm lucky I'm in the Ed Wood class, that I have a certain group of people who will just come out and do anything. They don't question it. They're like, it's a new thing. It's fun. And that's where we are,
Yeah. I still think we should get together with that third wheel we talked about and start something else up. So
I agree.
Yeah. But that's in your control. I can't control that. We've already done probably 5 months of shows by now.
I know. Well, everybody's schedules have been kind of a nightmare, and getting down there situated. And then when the comic book came up, because the comic book came up fast, we paid the artist on right before Thanksgiving, and he was able to turn in 25 pages of beautiful artwork like that quickly. So that was a tall order. So that's why I've been shooting things just on my own with my phone, because after the con, when people see for themselves that I'm not just whistling Dixie, that like there actually is things together, it's going to be much easier to do that thing and some other things that I've wanted to do as well, So it's just about that biding the time crap. I hate that, because I want to do everything all the time, all at once,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Yeah, well, dude, I'm always up for the acting stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You've come out and you've acted for me before, and in varying layers of success for those things. But I just, again, this year is just about working with people who actually want to grow their brand by helping me grow my brand. No egos, no divas, no clout chasing bullshit, and no minimizing your concepts to click all the boxes. I don't ever want to work in that area where you're clicking all the boxes to make sure that every group is involved.
I'd rather quit. I'm right what you do. I'd rather quit. You're never going to get me to do that. Ever. There's a time where some of them boxes that we're talking, checking the boxes where that's the roles you see for them anyway. But you're not going to forcefully be like, all right, that's never going to happen.
No, your job as a writer, director, producer is to tell a good story, not to stroke, the PC police. No. Ripley in Aliens was written as a man. Everybody was supposed to be interchangeable.
Yeah, at the end of that movie, I wasn't like, why isn't there a guy standing there? I was all about Ellen Ripley. Go for it,
Yeah, just tell a good. At the end of Metroid, when you find out that Samus is a chick, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. Just tell a good story and don't try to force things and agendas down people's throats. Because I'm a person who was raised in a fairly mixed race family and all that. So I believe how important representation is, the gay and lesbian and trans community as well. I just don't believe in, if I was in those groups and I saw someone pushing that, I would just go, just leave me out then. Don't make me a token in your game, I just want to tell cool, fun stories. But also when it comes to being in the exploitation field, you got to also have a little bit of machismo, and you can't be afraid to kind of work blue and be a little bit non-PC sometimes, because then you're not reigning true to the movies that inspired you as a kid. Like maybe certain words shouldn't be used that were used in 80s John Hughes movies anymore, but that doesn't mean you can't write something in that style where it still feels realistic and not, watered down. That's what Sharkula would have been. It would have been a watered down movie that would have been a fucking fart in the wind, man. It would have been like the movie Uncharted. I forgot I saw it by the time the credits rolled, and that's what I don't ever want to be. I want to be a guy who they go, did you see that dude's movie? Like, you got to see this, and that's what I would love to be,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you say though, in the last 2 years, drive-ins made a giant comeback?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that, the main one we're talking about, the Mahoney,
right.
Like I go to the Delsey drive-in, but that's like when I want to, hey, what's a double? I just want to go down the road for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Mahoney for me is like an 80-minute drive. I don't care, but that's the mega. Last
year we were special guests of Joe Bob, which was great. And I wrote and produced and co-directed a short called Creature Feature, which you can find on my channel, and it's screened on the big screen. And then I brought Fred Olin Ray in, who's a B movie director, and he's a good friend of mine, for VHS Fest, and I hung out with him and Linnea Quigley the entire weekend. You know, I smoked a cigar with Fred. I've never smoked a cigar before. I was like, well, if somebody who inspired you as much as he did ask you to smoke a cigar, you smoke a cigar. So yeah, I love that drive-in. I'm hoping that we can get in there with Schlock Awe Films this year on some different things, because that would be.
I know that calendar's filling up fast every time I go around. But I think that they're the best in the country.
100%.
But in the entire country, I mean, I still think though. But now that they own the place, I wish they'd plow that middle building down. I realize Jeff's all, but like get it more modern. We don't need water coming.
With the amount of rain that they had the 2 weekends that we were there, it was wetter than fucking Nam out there, man. Like the thing all filled with water and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if they modernized that a little bit, maybe like nicer bathrooms too, because the porta potties get real bad. I mean,
you're like me, you have a weenus, so I always hold it till the sun goes down. And I've never gotten in one of those things. Get out of here.
Exactly.
I'll be like between two cars with friends, be like, anybody looking? All right,
yeah,
cover me.
Exactly. But no, that place is amazing. I'm really looking at their calendar. They've got some really, really cool stuff coming up this year. So
I did a comment.
Huh?
They got Night at a Comet with the two girls.
Yep. I used to have a 35mm print of that movie. I'm a big fan.
That is currently free on Tubi because I just recently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The projectionist gets laid in the projection booth. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah, but the audience for they're the same. The Mahoney, they're our target audience, and I think they've got it right. That place, I think it's like a double jewel too, because 15 minutes away, it's like Jim Thorpe, which is a great place to hang in the daytime. I really love it up there. I think it's even said the Delsey Drive-In that they don't do what they do up there, but I just think drive-ins were great, and especially in 2020 when they were the first to kind of reopen. Yeah. When it seemed them and like the Berlin Mart opened, and I was like, oh my God, like I have somewhere to go. Oh, this is great. Yeah. So
they saw the opportunity. Again, it's the go to where the puck is going thing. They saw the opportunity and they took it. And there's a lot of people who are like, I've heard of a drive-in, but I've never been there before. I used to go to the Pennsauken Drive-In when I was a kid. Like I saw like Poltergeist 2 and Follow That Bird there when I was a little kid. I saw Batman and Ghostbusters 2 at the Acto Drive-In when I was a kid. Like, I'm a big drive-in fan, so I like that they were able to bring that back. And we'll see if it happens this year too, because it's not the same as it was in 2020. But I think Mahoning has dug themselves in like a tick now, and they are the mecca for genre film fans to go to,
Yeah, and so they usually actually go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then there's the Time Tunnel Tuesday. I went up last year. I saw Cobra. And on my birthday, Nightbreed played, so I went to that one too. Yeah, this was like a Tuesday. What are you gonna do on your Tuesday? I was like,
I was always working on Tuesdays. They did like a trailer fest that I really wanted to go to, but I couldn't get out of work in time.
What I'm getting at to back you up is I'm wondering if like sooner or later they're gonna be like every day. Think about it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. There's only 3 more days left. Like, the schedule, keeps going, and that's great for that area.
Ride it till the wheels fall off, man. It's it is great for the area too. And that's what they like up the street from it. They have that Walmart that's like up on a hill. It looks like you're going to Castle Dracula.
Yeah. But all right, brother. Well, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. I will definitely see you in Atlantic City, and
I'm looking forward to it.
And beyond that, that we're
gonna have the big suite this year, so you got to come up and have a drink with us.
Well, that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Right, I'm always there.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Feel free to plug away.
Of course, send it my way.
No, plug away to everybody on the internet.
Okay. I thought that was done. Yeah, go to Schlock Awe Films on YouTube. That's SCHLOCK, Schlock Awe Films. You could find it on Instagram, and my handle is at the bottom at still Newt Wallen for Twitter. Come take a look at all the dumb stuff that I'm doing, and please, and you know, I'll try to entertain you.
Sweet. Well, this comes that part of the show where I say thank you for everyone who took the time to listen to this show. Once again, please give that subscribe button on YouTube for Average Superstar TV, also Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And until next week, I say thank you and goodbye.